So how do you talk to yourself, John?
You fucking idiot. Would you just fucking do it right? Just do it right. Kind of like that.
Is there only one voice, internal voice, or two?
Sometimes it's like, would you fucking go to sleep? Just go. Well, that's the same voice, really, isn't it? Yeah.
So for me, it's my voice and then a slightly deeper version of my voice, and I'm not sure which is the real Brian.
Oh, wow. Could you give us like a demo?
It really happens in the shower a lot, but it'll be kind of like, hey, Brian, did you hear that song in the shop earlier on? I'd be like, yeah. I really like the New Radicals, and I'd be like, yeah, I wonder where they are now. And then we'll have a chat about
They released one song. How can you really like them?
Because turns out the New Radicals became ghostwriters and wrote loads of famous songs for other musicians.
Like what?
Can't think of any off the top of my head.
Okay.
But
they were good.
when Joe Biden won the election, they had to have a song, and New Radicals came up and sang Get What You Gave or Get What You Give. But I think they kind of cut him off at the part at the end where he gets all like socialist at the end. Because you know how at the end of that song it gets real like, yo man, fuck capitalism and fuck corporations and shit. But they cut that bit out, I think.
I don't know. I was like 7 when that song came out, and I just remember dogs running around a like shopping center and being like, "This is the best song ever. It's appealing to me."
What song would you guys play at your coronation when you became president?
Oh, blah. Let's see.
It's the same song at my funeral, but yeah.
I Want to Fuck You Like an Animal.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Closer.
Really
9 Inch Nails.
Closer.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think I'd go with Chumbawamba's Good Ship Lifestyle.
Mine is whatchamacallit, the song by The Specials, Message for Rudy. Message to Rudy? Stop your messing around. So everyone know that politics is really going to fucking step up. So Niamh, how about your inner monologue?
Yeah, how does that go?
Oh, there's always two Niamhs, and they're always fighting with each other at all times. Like, seriously. To the point that I once said it to a therapist. I was like, is it normal to have two internal voices? And she was like, yeah. But yeah, it's like, there's one Niamh who makes bad decisions, and then there's another Niamh who's just like, I don't know if you should do that. And then just ignore that one.
But it's kind of apathetic towards the decision. So, so bad decision making Niamh gets the control.
Oh yeah, impulse Niamh has full control. Other Niamh is just like, you fool, you beautiful, sexy fool. No one can stop her.
Okay, when we were talking about this, I was thinking like, what would Niamh's two internal voices be? And for some reason, all I could think of Niamh being like, hey Niamh, looking pretty good today. I don't know. And then it happened, and then it came true. I think sometimes I'm kind of like, we should get in a fight today. And it's like, no, there's no... It's the pandemic. There's no like healthy way to do that.
Oh, there is. I nearly had a fight with a dude on the street the other day. Walking down the street, and I was with my girlfriend and a friend, and we were wearing masks, and this dude was just like, girls, enjoy your freedom. Take off your masks. Take them off. What are you doing? It's a beautiful day. And I was like, fuck you, dude. Fuck you. And he was like, and I was like, why don't you enjoy your fucking freedom by minding your own business and leave me alone? And like this girl behind me was like, yeah, fuck you, dude.
I love how differently that situation probably played out in that man's head versus the reality.
He really thought he was in his own movie where he was the protagonist, and he was like really making a difference in people's lives.
He literally looked like he stepped out of a 2010s movie. He had black spiked hair, an open, like a very open button shirt, and like black sunglasses. I was like, who the fuck are you, man? It's just like, leave people alone. But he absolutely targeted 3 women on the street because they're the ones that go, okay. And I was like, not me.
Not me. No way.
Not me. My internal voice is telling me I'm pretty and mean.
Fight him. One time when I was a kid, I got called out for shoplifting by an old woman who was very, very scary, because you know how old women can really turn on you when you're a child. And it's like, oh no, they're not your granny anymore. Like, this is just like a really scary old woman. And she brought the manager over, and she was like, look in his pockets. And I was
Wait, she didn't work there?
No.
What a fucking narc. Holy shit, fuck off, old cop.
And so I was frightened, and it happened so quickly that I just complied with the whole situation, and I emptied my pockets, but I had stolen nothing. She had seen me put my hand in my pocket, because I was scratching myself on the inside of my leg. And she thought I had pickpocketed like a Mars bar or something. And so when I had produced empty pockets, she was like bamboozled and flustered. And all of a sudden I had this like rush of success and energy. And it's taken me this far.
Mm.
So despite her attempt to like keep you moral, she corrupted you.
Yes.
A guy tried to pickpocket me before and he pulled out what he thought I presume was going to be a wallet, but it was just a bunch of tampons. And I was like, you can have those.
Here you go, sir.
That's such a perfectly Neve story. Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast, the world's strongest video game podcast. I am sitting here with the two most relaxed people in the entire world. Sometimes we get a little spicy on this podcast. Sometimes we scratch and we bite a little bit. This episode, let me tell you, buddy, this is going to be the chillest episode. Brian, put some good vibes out there.
I got one more stingy story.
Fuck no.
Okay, say it in a really relaxed voice.
Okay, so sometimes I'm shopping online, and unlike other people, it takes me about twice as long to shop online because I have to scrounge coupon websites just in case there's a deal and I can get free shipping or like €3 off the total value, because that's a fucking victory right there, buddy. That's what I live for, because I don't have much else going on in my life. So I gotta win the lotto somehow.
You should just introduce me.
Brian, can I tell a story about when we were in London?
Neve, I'm so sorry, but this is a really important story, apparently.
Just go for it.
So one time we were in London and Brian bought a book. We went all over the place looking for a particular book. And we went to 3 different bookstores and we ended up finding one bookstore that was kind of on the other side of town, but it was 5 pence cheaper. Brian, you're very happy.
Yeah.
Then he was like, okay, let's go. And like when you travel with Brian leads the way because he's a human compass, and it would be foolish to try and take that.
I already have the map even before you enter the dungeon. I don't know how I get it.
It's crazy. So he leads the way, and we end up back at the first bookstore, which I will remind you was across town. And we were there because Brian wanted to confirm that his price was in fact lower. Now, he wasn't checking, he just wanted to see it. He wanted to see the lower price, and I was so tired and I was so hungry.
That was my favorite part of the holiday, because I just felt really good about myself.
But like, what if you went back and you were like, oh no, I spent €1 more? Would that have just ruined your holiday?
I would have gone back to the other shop
and returned it to go buy it at a cheaper price.
And like
you would have been doing that by yourself.
Oh my god!
I've got a great like excuse where I'm like, just wasn't for me.
I bought a book and it wasn't.
And it's
for
like
me.
Fucking The Art of Kirby or some shit.
It's not for me.
Yeah, Brian. Like sometimes, like
No, chill.
Okay, I try and be good with money, but sometimes I think, Brian, you would see the way I spend money and be so upset because I will spend money to make problems go away. You would be appalled at how much I tip Deliveroo drivers.
That's good. You should tip delivery.
Oh, those are
tipping.
Those are
drivers
hardworking
and waiters,
people,
Yeah.
and I really respect them. And whenever I do order from them, they're always like, "Oh man, thanks
I
for
make
the
a
tip."
rule, like if I'm not, I do not order food or do not eat out unless I have money to tip people.
Yeah, for sure.
Tip service staff and thank your bus driver.
And like
they're the 2 big rules.
You guys have seen all the like stories about Deliveroo riders
Yeah,
getting their
here.
heads kicked. I always try and be so nice to them because, like, goddamn, need put some calm vibes out there. I feel like that last section wasn't as chill as we're kind of going for tonight.
I don't know.
Okay, first of all, just the tone of your voice is very frightening right now.
I have been constantly in and out of poverty my entire life, to the point that I had to share a can of sardines with a foster dog. That one good?
Yeah, that's why we're here, Niamh.
Look, I just really wanted that book, okay?
Thanks, Patreon.
I was so hungry and you kept saying that the restaurant was around the corner. Why are we in a bookshop, Brian? Why are we in a bookshop?
Want that sweet deal?
Guys, I consumed no media this week. Except being sad about wrestlers and just being like, who got fired? So Neve, what are you watching, buddy?
So I'm continuing on my Fast and the Furious re-education, because I've watched all these films like more than once before, but I haven't watched them all like recently. And I've been doing it because Brian was like, we need to talk about F9, and I was just like, damn right we do. So I watched 8, and I actually really like 8. I think 8 might be my favorite one.
What?
I know.
Neve, you're so weird. You're like this with Star Wars as well. What are you doing?
Like 8 is actually really, really good, especially with the context of all the other movies, because 8 is where Dom has to turn against his family and become Dark Dom. And he puts on a black tank top and he has to like fight his own family. And they're like, why is he doing this? We just do not understand.
Just like Dark Betty.
Just like Dark Betty.
Yeah.
And then like, it's like surprisingly like emotionally resonant because of that, because he just doesn't want to do it and he has his reasons and no one understands. And this is the introduction of Charlize Theron's character Cypher, and it's so funny when she shows up with she's really bad shitty long hair in this one.
She's got the worst dreadlocks.
Yeah, it's like they're kind of dreadlocks slash beach hair. It's like white girl trying to do like, it looks like 90s Britney but bad. It's very bad hair. I don't know why I'm harping about that, but there's this moment that I love when she first confronts Dom, and Letty got her memories back, so she now remembers her and Dom's relationship.
Everything's going well.
I don't know who Letty is, but just I love the
Michelle
Rodriguez's
okay.
character, who lost her memories after people thought she was dead. But then she came back and she like couldn't like be like intimate with Dom because she couldn't really remember him, and he was really sad, but he was just like, I'll give you time, because Dom's like a cool guy. So she finally has her memories back, and like, you know, they get married and they have like this like their wedding night together, and he is coming back after their night together and he's bringing her romantic breakfast in a tote bag, and it consists of a single rose and a single baguette hanging out either side.
That's such good prop design.
So funny. And he's just walking up to her in this villa, and like Charlize Theron's character is just like
gonna blackmail you.
Gonna blackmail you. And then Dom disappears, and it's like, where's Dom? There's some stuff about that movie I didn't love. I think they did Elena's character super dirty. They kill her off in that movie, and every other character who dies in like the Fast and the Furious movie like goes out in like a ball of flames or like some heroic death kind of thing. Elena just like gets put in a perspex box and like
shot off camera.
By like a bad guy to kind of motivate Dom to kill this dude. There was really good stunts in it. There was like it was one of the better ones, I thought, on a rewatch. I was just like,
what's the general consensus on Fast 8?
I think it's one of the least popular ones, maybe?
It's good. The big problem people have with it is that Jason Statham's character joins the good guys.
Yes.
But he's killed members of the family. So
I think Jeff Gersman was upset about this.
So a lot of people weren't happy because a character called Han got killed by Jason Statham's character in one of the previous films, and so it just logically didn't make any sense that they would even give him like
the time of day.
Yeah.
But in fairness, they don't really trust him too much, and Jason Statham is actually really good in this, and I kind of like his it actually made me want to watch like Hobbs and Shaw. Because The Rock is good as well, but like Jason Statham's character has this moment where he's doing like gun fu with a baby, Dom's baby.
And he really likes babies, and he's great with kids.
I feel like a real good way to make an action scene better is to throw a baby in there.
Yeah, it felt like a real Kiryu Kazuma kind of moment, keeping a baby safe during gunfire kind of stuff, but like with a comedy edge.
See, like for me, I didn't mind any of that. It's just he shouldn't have been invited to the barbecue at the end.
Yeah, maybe not. Or maybe like
There's a line.
Yeah, maybe he's passing by and they like throw him a beer or something. I don't know. Which brings us to 9, and Brian, I'm going to disappoint you. I didn't love it.
Neve, oh my god.
No, here's my thing. Okay, Fast 9 is everything. It is like the pinnacle of the Fast movies, in the sense that everything is bigger. There is way more shit happening. And everything's crazy. All the set pieces are huge and impossible. And that's where it lost me, is the set pieces were so crazy. And like, they've always been crazy, but they've kind of like been in the realm of like reality. Like, for example, not really in the realm of the reality, but they try and kind of construct a reality around it. for example, in Fast 7, when they need to like tumble off the cliff of like the forested cliff, they do it, and you're like, oh shit, how did they survive? They reinforce the car, and they have a steel roll cage in the car, and they like foreshadowed that bit, and they were like, we did it, we reinforced the car, and that's how we survived it. In this one, they are flipping cars like cars are swinging like Tarzan off vines. Cars are running up drawbridges as they're falling. Like, it's like gravity doesn't exist anymore.
Well, no, there isn't, because there's a car in space.
Yeah.
I'd like in a fast film if a car kind of like reared up and started running on its wheels, and its upper wheels were moving like
we are
arms.
so close to that happening with this shit. It was kind of unreal. And it's also another globe-trotting one where, again, I like when they travel a lot, but this was just like, we're in a jungle, and now we're in Siberia, and now we're here. Like, it was so much all the time, and now we're in space. And there was like 6 bad guys.
There were so many bad guys. The bit that bothered me was that there's a bit where characters ziplining across Edinburgh, and it goes on for ages. And for a long time, we're like, is he on one big giant zip line? But what happens is he'll get to like a bell tower, and then he'll like take a pause, and then he'll make another zip line from like a
Sounds like late game Death Stranding.
He's zipping really slowly and really low to the ground because it's Edinburgh and the buildings aren't that high off the ground, tall. But I also thought John Cena sucked. Like,
he's not very good.
He was awful. John Cena in this is Dom's brother.
What's your general opinion on John Cena?
I didn't really have too much of one, but like seeing The Rock come into these movies and own that role and be extremely charismatic, that is a hard person to live up to. Like, you are another wrestler coming in and taking a role in the Fast franchise. You were obviously going to be compared to The Rock and his role in it.
Yeah.
And John Cena just had no charisma. I think the character was kind of stupid.
Have you ever seen an interview with John Cena?
No.
He's weird.
Is he?
He's a very strange man.
I believe it.
Not instantly likable in the same way you would think. Like, I'm going to talk about my strange relationship with John Cena in a little bit, but you continue your Fast and Furious.
Didn't love John Cena in this. He just did not have the charisma to carry a role like that, where it's basically he's Dom's secret brother. I did like the plot of this. The plot was really like dramatic.
I really like the flashbacks as well.
Yeah, the flashback scenes were done really well, and the guy who played young Dom and the guy who played young Jacob, which is John Cena's character, did a really good job.
That was really good, yeah, because like I thought they were going to age them down with CGI.
Yeah, I'm so glad they didn't.
But they just cast really good actors. I thought it was really good when Dom gets out of prison and he does a street race, and you can see the crew. And it's the crew from the first movie, but kind of out of focus. But you can tell who's who. Mm-hmm. I really, really wish during that bit, though, when he hits the NOS, that they did the blurred speedline effects that they do in the first 2 movies. That would have been a nice touch.
That would have been a nice callback. I lost my mind when they introduced the second necklace.
You can't do it. There's 2 necklaces? That shit, like, the bit with the car in space, I was like, okay, this is sure. And they do their best to explain it, and there's 2 dudes in a car in space eating chocolate.
But it's like, it's so weird because it's like the conceit to get them up there and why that mattered, it just didn't. It was just like, we need to have the car in space because we need to bring cars into space for Fast 9. But like,
apparently this is something they've been wanting to do for years.
Yeah, the plot conceits behind it really didn't match up to the point that you're kind of like, why are Roman and Tej there? Like, really? And they're like, okay, they're stopping. Ugh. So like, it's not about car racing and kind of like bad guys on the edge of society anymore. They're now full espionage now that they introduced Mr. Nobody in 7.
Is there someone called Mr. Nobody?
Yeah, played by Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell's character, Mr. Nobody, is introduced in 7, and it's basically like, we're making espionage movies now, and this is our way to make that happen. So he's basically like the elusive man from Mass Effect or something. He's just some guy with a lot of money who's like, I need you to steal this thing. to save the world. And it's just
He's
like,
very good.
Yeah, okay, I guess so. So they kind of have to stop a little Death Star kind of thing happening. And there was just so many plot conceits that sucked. Like, there was this girl who needed to use her, like, DNA to put the Death Star thing together. And they did not name her until the entire, like, till the end of it at the barbecue. They gave her name. And it was just like, who is this plot girl? It just sucked.
So she's a Japanese girl that Han faked his death to protect. Mm-hmm. And I was watching it with Rebecca and she was like, I think that's from Yakuza. Like, I think one of the subplots in Yakuza is one of the characters faked his death to protect a girl.
I imagine it could be.
That has definitely happened in Yakuza. Mm-hmm. My trouble is I'm trying to figure out how many times it's happened.
Yeah.
Do you guys know about the plot twist in Yakuza where some guy comes into a diner and kills everyone? He shoots everyone in the diner. Yeah. And then he goes to jail for like 20 years. And then it's revealed that someone loaded rubber bullets into his guns and he didn't actually end up killing anyone. Yakuza's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's great.
So, like, with this, there's just so much going on and only some of it worked. And they turned Dom into the Incredible Hulk. Like, his arms are up in the air like this.
He's so big.
And he's, like, running with his big arms up in the air. And he's doing jumps. And he's literally taking down 20 guys at a time. And they're tying chains to him. And Letty's, like, looking on from, a glass door.
That bit was amazing, Neve. Come on.
No, that bit sucked.
And the bit where he's drowning in the water and he travels through time.
Like... I liked the plot aspect, but I don't... Like, Dom isn't the Hulk. Dom is a person.
Letty's Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah.
She'd kick the shit out of most people.
Yeah, they could have worked together, but it's now like, no, Dom is the Hulk. And it's like, he's not the Hulk, and he's just like... A lot of the CG was super ropey as well. It's the worst CG they've had in the series.
He's got really, really bad, like, bloom lighting and keying around him when he's supposed to be in front of a fake environment.
Ugh. So there was that kind of stuff that just did not work for me, where I kind of loved the interpersonal drama of Jacob and Dom, and I liked to kind of plot stuff with bringing Han back. Thought the stunts and the driving was kind of the worst it's been.
Oh, I loved it. I loved all the magnet shit.
It looks so fake.
The magnet stuff was real.
No, Brian, here's another thing that I have to bitch about. Okay, in 5, there is a moment where they go, there was no civilian deaths. Make sure everyone is safe. And they kind of seem like people who are concerned with not killing people. From 7 onwards, they all have machine guns and are just murdering the shit out of everyone. And 9 is just like, it's like a Marvel movie. Like cities get destroyed, people are thrown everywhere. Han throws a grenade onto a man and kicks him out of a door and the dude just blows up. It's like, and it's like, it's cool, but like, these people were like meant to be like the good bad guys on the edge of society, and now they're just like mass murderers.
Yeah, they got blood on their hands.
And it's
and oil in the tanks.
And then on top of that, like, there was just so much going on. Line. They keep Charlize Theron in a Perspex cube for the entire fucking movie.
She had one day of shooting,
Like Magneto. Yeah. Like Magneto.
Yeah, pretty much. And there she was like, I'm too evil and I'm going to kill you all. So once they let me out of here, I'm going to go get you. And then they let her out at the end. And and her... let a lesbian style her hair. It looks bad. Like, they just didn't get it right.
Her hair looks better in the last film.
It does look better than the last film, but this was literally a bowl cut. They did Charlize, one of the most beautiful women in the world, dirty. So, like, Brian, I didn't love it. I didn't love it. I thought 8 was better.
Oh
Brian,
my god.
And this is the first
is your
movie.
Space Jam too.
Wait. I wrote it down because I was like...
That's so mean, John.
This is the first movie since Tokyo Drift that is not written by Chris Morgan, and it shows. It's
directed by Justin.
But I don't think he's great. The last movie he did was 6, which was kind of the weaker one as well.
Oh my god. He also did the 3rd Star Trek movie, and that is a film that exists.
Mm-hmm. There's a guy in this, and a few people will understand what I mean, but one of the bad guys in it, and it's Charlize Theron's European friend, and I say European because...
He's just like, hey, I'm from Europe.
Yeah.
We got 12 points for the Netherlands. It's just that voice.
But he has a bodyguard that looks so much like someone keyed Germa's face onto him.
Yes.
That every time he was on screen, I was like, Germa.
Okay, you know what? I got one nice thing to say about this movie.
Brian, you have loads of nice things to say about this movie.
No, I didn't get to say it last time. I wanted to say it, okay? The family of this film, you got a great mix of people, very diverse cast. There is one white guy in the family, in the extended family, and it is a white dude from Alabama who travels around the world and is a rocket scientist, and I think that is very good.
Who's that?
The guy from the third film. And it's like, how many guys from Alabama have a passport? And
That's the reason why you like it.
I was like, you know what? That's a good representation of someone from Alabama.
He has a passport.
In fairness, we have met one person from Alabama and they did not have a passport originally.
A lot of Americans don't have them.
No, they don't. And I'm sure people from Alabama that have passports are like, yeah, thanks, Brian. Because that guy's a cool guy.
Yeah. I did enjoy
like
at the end that they had the kind of like, I enjoyed that they brought Mia back because it's her brother as well, but it was really like Dom versus Jacob, and I guess Mia was there. They didn't show her in any of the back at like flashbacks.
And Brian's minding the kids, but he's off camera.
Yeah.
And the bit where Brian shows up at the barbecue at the end, but they can't show him, so they can only show the car driving.
I thought that was nice that his car pulled up because they were like, don't worry, he's coming, and the car pulls up. I think it's cute that they kept him alive in the canon because it's just a nice way. But I also thought it was weird that like Dom calls his like baby son Brian,
Lil B,
because like that makes no sense while Brian is alive, like as a kind of name.
We know the truth.
I was just like, Brian likes this movie because like the word little Brian and little B is mentioned quite a lot, and
yeah.
Brian was like, that's me, I'm little B.
If Vin Diesel would refer to me as Lil B, I would melt.
Same here.
I'd be a little N.
Who do you think is hotter? Who would you make out with, Brian? Dom, Vin Diesel, The Rock, or what's his face? The other wrestler who I'm not.
John Cena.
John Cena.
I'm making out with Dom, and John Cena's gonna watch.
That's insane. Seriously, like, no one wants to make out with John Cena. But
Yeah.
Vin Diesel over The Rock.
I think The Rock's gonna bite.
If he does, it's going to be a respectable amount. Like, it's going to work.
Oh,
I have
can we do
sensitive
fuck,
skin.
marry, kill with them?
Okay, well, I guess we're all killing John Cena.
Yeah, we're all killing John Cena.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna fuck Dom, and I'm gonna fucking marry The Rock.
Okay, I'm gonna fuck The Rock and marry Dom.
Okay. I'm going to fuck John Cena because I'm curious, okay? I have I have a love-hate relationship with John Cena. I spent a lot of years just hating that man, and now I've come around him in a weird way where, like, you know, if you go to secondary school with someone you don't like and you see them 20 years later, and, like, you know, both your lives have, you know, you've gone okay and you're fine and you don't like them, but you're kind of like, it's you motherfucker.
I guess I'd fuck you now.
Yeah, that's me and John Cena. With Vin Diesel, I have to kill him because Neve,
But he looks like a dolphin.
Hear me out. I just don't have a relationship with Vin Diesel. He's never made his way. I think I've seen one Fast and the Furious movie, and But
he's such a beautiful mammal.
He's beautiful, he's kind, and he's like one of the best examples of like positive like masculinity, you know?
Okay, I have never seen that, so maybe when I someday pursue... Oh, did you see that scene from the new movie where the new Disney movie where the guy's talking about how he's gay, and The Rock's like, it's bad that people gave you shit for that. He crawls under the same low bar as me, you know?
He really did.
I was gonna like, wow, low. Yeah.
Also, I heard about that Jungle Cruise movie that Jack Whitehall's character who's gay in it doesn't say he's gay, he just says he's not had successful relationships with women. Then there's an implication, and The Rock goes,
in fairness...
That's okay, bro.
In fairness, I've watched that scene, and he doesn't go, I'm gay, but, like, you couldn't think anything else about that. Like, very conflicting feelings about that stuff as well. Anyway. And of course I'd marry The Rock. Come on.
I know.
Like, it's
fucking stability right there. He's a rock.
It's not an easy decision.
He's gonna make you laugh.
Yeah.
He's got, like, the craziest fucking body.
He'll sing for you.
Yeah, there's nothing that he couldn't do.
He'll make pancakes.
I bet he's an awesome cook, and, you know, I bet he could get me tickets to WrestleMania. Like,
he gives a good foot massage.
I'm gonna take your word for it.
No, you probably will have to shave his back once a week. Are you okay with that?
Well, then I know what it's like to be with me, so it's fine. What's wrong, Brian?
For me, it's every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Look, the male body is...
It's troubling. It's troubling.
Do you ever shave like a letter in first before you get it all off?
I always mean to do shit like that.
Yeah.
For like 8 years now, I've wanted to like shave a mustache in just to see it and then shave off the mustache. But every time I'm like, well, there it goes. That's the muscle memory, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I used to always draw on my belly button because you can make like it's like a mouth, so you could do like googly eyes or whatever. And I used to do this from like the ages of 10 to 12, and I did it for like 2 years until my mom found out, because I was getting changed for swimming or something, and she was like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, I didn't know we were going swimming today, so I didn't have and she's like, wash that off and don't do that again. Gonna get your belly button infected. And I was like, well, what, with the ink? And she's like, yeah, the ink is bad for your belly button. And I was like, I don't think that.
That sounds like a lie she made up to stop you doing that.
Yeah, well, you know what, mom's not. I'm a big boy. I can draw on my own belly button. Also, been meaning to say this. When I went to the doctor the other week, I had to get a scan and I had to kind of strain my body. And the way the doctor said for me to strain my body, because I guess this is a way to kind of like flex and unflex your kind of abdomen. She kept saying, and she was Australian, so she's like, all right, make a fat belly. I don't know if that's an Australian accent, but she was like, make a fat belly.
I thought she was going to be like, push.
No, well, she was, but then she was like, no, make a fat belly.
Can I do a very brief aside? I'm trying to cut down the feces talk, because I know I may have gone too far for some people.
Yeah, for several episodes.
There's just one thing I want to say, okay?
Oh my god.
I saw one comment that said, John will never live this down. And all I can say is, buddy, I'm living this. This is I won. I the acclaim I got, the emotional support, the letters of appreciation.
People sent emails. I read one.
People sent emails being like,
I pooped myself too.
This took so much weight. I am living nothing down. I am living everything up, my friend. Sorry, go on. Fast and the Furious 9. With fuck, marry, kill, does it imply that you're not going to fuck the person you marry?
No, you can still
it's
have
like a fling.
Yeah,
but
like
it's very passionate.
Yeah, it's like a one night, like it's
but you're also going to have.
You're going to have sex with the person you marry.
Okay,
but it's going to be marriage sex.
Okay. Don't know what that means.
Yeah, no, definitely
like,
the order I give.
But like, this is what I think when they do that. They're like, well, you're gonna have like the weird, like kinky shit with this person for one night.
Well, I presume like it's one night, but the other person is just like, I could fall in love with them and share the rest of my life with them. Where the other person is like, it's pure attraction based, and I will just have
the
one.
passion.
Yeah, I just have one night with them.
Okay, I think I would I think John Cena is pretty handsome for sure, and I think I could. Does he take his shirt off in Fast 9?
No.
Okay,
No.
well that's 3/4 of it. But I'd also really like to just be at WrestleMania and John Cena comes out and everyone's gone wild, and I just love to like lean over to the person next to me and just be like, I fucked him.
I've never seen a man whose hair looked like a wig so much in my life with John Cena.
It probably was a wig because he has to keep it shaved for wrestling.
He stopped cutting his hair in the last year, and it looks like a wig.
Yeah, it looks like a weird little toupee on him. It does not suit him.
He had a bad fringe.
John, he has like such a weird like anti-charisma. Like I remember seeing him on that like reality TV shows, the Bella ones, and there was a section where he was explaining to his not wife, not fiance, but his girlfriend how the bins work. And it took like 3 minutes. And he was wearing like the weirdest like stripy purple shirt.
I watched that new Suicide Squad movie, but I don't really want to talk about it. But John Cena is good in that film.
I hear that movie's alright.
It's an improvement over the other one, but like that's gonna be an obvious because that 2016 film is. I really didn't like that film.
No one did.
It's like I don't even think John Cena is bad per se in this. I think the character he has is very dour.
Yeah, he's just pouting.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard for him to have fun. But like The Rock's character, like The Rock is just so good. Like he just brings so much charisma to everything that it's kind of really hard to live up to.
That bit where he flexed the cast off his arm.
Oh my god, that's
His
so good.
arms are like, what the fuck?
It's a big boy.
John, there's a bit where he's in like an arm cast and like he's just like, they need me, and he just flexes and the whole thing breaks off. It's so good. It's just like my pure like will has knitted my like bones in fact together. It's just so good. I'm going to go back and watch 6 because I had to skip 6 to get to 9 for this podcast. But I remember not loving that one, and because it's like Justin Lin again, who's only okay.
But he made Han a thing.
Yeah, and that's great, but like, I don't know, like Fast 9, and maybe I'm wrong, and please write in about this. If you're a car head and like your thing is cars and car stunts, I can't imagine 9 was the most interesting to watch because it felt so fake compared to the other ones. It's definitely not a car
movie, it's just a set piece movie.
Yeah, the other one felt like there was a real like people who care about cars worked on those ones, where this one was just like, hey, do you know the MCU? Let's make a movie like the MCU. And I'm like, I do not like the MCU. There was also so many weird Star Wars references in this, like Charlize Theron's whole like evil monologue about like the
bit where
Yoda.
She compares the guy to Yoda, and he's like, oh yeah, because I'm smart like Yoda, and she's like, no, because you're a puppet with a hand up your ass.
Whoa, man.
But like, she's kind of creepy in these movies where she's kind of like, because like she was really inappropriate with Dom in there, like predatory.
I would say so.
Non-consenting with that kiss and then some.
Mm-hmm. She was trying to make Letty jealous.
Because like Dom was not kissing back.
No.
But he just kind of had to look, and he was like, help. Mm-hmm. I'm in a situation beyond my control.
It was a real like anime kind of brainwash scene where like, they're my puppet now, and like, but Dom is like looking sadly at Letty and being like, this kiss is not consensual.
That sounds real good.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's right up John's alley.
So I guess like that's it. We probably won't be talking about Fast and the Furious.
Well, no, they're making 2 more movies.
I think it's pretty.
I think
we can just put a stop on Fast and Furious on this podcast. We as a trio, we don't like it. We don't approve of it, and that's it done.
Until the next one.
No, you don't need. I think it's best just to chop off the shriveled limb right now.
No, they really need to finish off the Cypher trilogy, and then they have to do like the final chapter.
The cheek of calling this the Cypher's trilogy when Cypher's kept in a box for the entire second movie.
I know, but like of these 2 films,
Charlize Theron.
Yeah,
but like so 8 and 9 both have the same thing where it's a satellite that's going to hack the world, and they need to stop it. And I guarantee the 10th movie is going to be another. We have to stop the hacking.
Yeah.
What's the most dangerous thing in the world now? Brian, tell me how it ends.
It's going to end with Vin Diesel getting into his car, looking off into the horizon, and there's another Vin Diesel, and it's Vin Diesel from 2000, and he looks right at the camera and goes, it could be you.
Okay, Brian, tell me how it ends.
I just said it.
Brian, could you please talk about the film, how it ends?
Oh, yes. That was very good.
There's some good wordplay. You don't get to 146 episodes being the host and not store up some winners like that one.
Okay. How It Ends is a 2021 comedy film that I watched. It's a very low budget independent comedy film that is co-directed by a woman called Zoe Lister-Jones, and she co-directed it, co-wrote it with her husband Darryl Wine, and she also stars in it. And it's a series of vignettes, I guess, a series of short stories that all take place on the one day about a woman on the last day of Earth. And it was shot around the fancy parts of LA, and it was filmed during lockdown last year. And I thought that was super interesting. I've watched 2 films now that were made during lockdown. There was this film and a Steven Soderbergh movie, his new heist movie, No Sudden Move. And you could tell they're filming lockdown because they'll have the actors on set, but they never overlap each other, and there's never too many of them in one wide shot. But this movie, How It Ends, is about a woman on the last day of Earth, and she's joined by her past, or herself as a child that people can now see. Because apparently when the world ends, people's perception of the world is slightly different. So you and your younger self that kind of walks beside you exist together.
That's nuts. It's kind of like...
I really like that,
like a daemon kind of like...
Oh, yeah, no, it really is just like...
Your soul is manifest as a younger version of you.
Yeah, and they kind of work that in really well, where it's about her kind of loving and accepting herself. So they have like another actress beside her working that character, and it's kind of her past self. So it's her kind of accepting her grievances when she was younger. That stuff works really well, but like it's mainly just like a comedy, and it's an excuse to have a bunch of SNL and Always Sunny actors all just show up for 5 minutes, say their lines, do their one day of shooting, and then that's it. It's probably filmed over the space of a month, and they just dedicated one day of filming for each available actor. Like there's a bit where they go to Charlie Day's house, him and the waitress, because I think they're married in real life, and they're just in their front garden, but like they're not playing themselves, they're just playing like LA citizens, but it's just like a 5-minute comedy sketch about how they're tripping balls, and they get a bit of advice from them, but then they walk away, and then the married couple are like, wait, was there someone there? I'm tripping balls. It's a very comfortable comedy.
Is it her meeting different people who are kind of dispensing life advice? Or
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And she's on her way to a party, and the party is at Pauly Shore's house, and Pauly Shore is in this film as himself, which I thought was nice. I haven't seen Pauly Shore in a while, but there he is. Like, it's not the kind of film I'd ever watch again. Don't know why I'm talking about it. I guess I just found it interesting that this is how you made a film last year. And they managed to make a film, and they used the rules and restrictions that they had to their advantage. I'm sure there's a couple of other films that were made during lockdown, and even now they've started production on television shows. I know they've just finished filming the new Thor film. And so there probably was a lot of protocol, and there's probably going to be certain limitations in this film that if you have the context of when it was filmed, you'll spot. And I thought that was very interesting.
And you also watched You Got Served.
I did. I rewatched You Got Served because Rebecca and I, we got Amazon Prime because the new Evangelion film is going to be on it in a few days' time. The fourth one, which I think is called, what, 1.0 plus 3.0?
How are you guys feeling about that?
No expectations.
Yeah, no expectations. Excited to watch it.
I feel kind of disconnected from it. And
it's been way too long.
That makes me feel sad because
I always see like extra Evangelion like stuff, like supplementary stuff, like as just that kind of supplementary.
Yeah, totally. I think this is just the first time I've had like, and like not even for any. I think I'm just kind of past it, I think it says more about me than it does Evangelion, and it kind of makes me sad. But
I'm excited. I like big robots.
Yeah, and like those bits will be cool.
I'm not that excited, but I know on the day it'll be out that evening, I'll be excited. I keep forgetting it's coming out. It's not like a thing I'm looking forward to, but sure, I'll watch it. But they had all of South Park on Amazon Prime, so we're rewatching the seasons from the mid 2000s. And my favorite season is season 8. That's the season where the first episode is one where they have the fun with weapons, and it turns into an anime.
Oh.
And so, like, season 8 was made in 2004, and like that is just peak Bush administration. And so many episodes are just about like the culture at the time as well. Like, it's got the Mel Gibson Passion of the Christ episode, the Osimo episode where Cartman pretends to be a robot called Osimo. It's got the Goobacks, which is the one where the people go back from the future back in time to work jobs, and they're time travel immigrants. There's this one particular episode, and it's one of my favorites, and it's called You Got F'd in the A. And it's the dance-off episode.
Oh, that one's brilliant. Oh, it's so good.
In which a brand new gang of characters, which are just like really well-designed like kids who are in a dance group, like put down a boombox and start playing some jams and start dancing at the main cast. And the main kids do not know how to react. And then the kids go like, you got served. And they just feel confused, and they explain it to Chef, and the Chef's like, yeah, you got served. And then they go home to their family, and they're like, and Randy's like, you got served? Okay, Stan, I'm going to take you into the garage right now. And then he teaches them how to dance to Don't Break My Heart, My Achy Breaky Heart by Billy Ray Cyrus. Anyway, the stakes get raised, and all of a sudden Stan has to form his own dance group against this other dance group for Saturday for the dance competition. And his team consists of like Stan.
It's the best team ever.
So you got Stan, you've got one of the goth kids.
I love the goths so much in South Park. They're the best. And
the goth kid is like, I'm going to be so nonconformist, I'm going to join the dance crew. And the other goths are like, damn, we got goth served. there's a DDR kid, and the way he dances, he can only dance in 4 directions, like the fucking DDR pad. Who else is there? There's a girl from Raisins who just shakes her ass, and then there's a dancing duck.
Oh, the duck's so good.
And then Butters is kind of like the sub that comes in at the end to bail them out. But anyway, I'm watching this with Rebecca, and I'm like, have you seen the film that they're making fun of, You Got Served? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, we're watching You Got Served. So You Got Served is a 2004 dance film, and oh my god, like, this is such a specific movie to do a parody of, but it's also just like a time capsule in itself as well. It is 2004, the movie. And like, this movie takes place in LA as well. They have the dance off in the Staples Center, and they keep showing wide shots of the Staples Center, and we're like, that's where Anime Expo is. And like, you go in, and it's the Staples Center with those like weird fucking white pillars that are like holding up the ceiling. Mm-hmm. And the competition is to be in a Lil' Kim music video, and it's just amazing. And like, the plot of this film is fucking terrible. Like, even for like a dance movie, the film consists of like 2 best friends, and they're trying to raise money to enter into a dance competition with a bunch of dudes from Orange County. And the guy from Orange County has like frosted tips with spiky hair. Like, he just looks like such a white guy villain from a mid-2000s movie. And like, the main cast of this movie are all black, and they're all from like a socially disadvantaged area. So the whole idea is, you know, that they're taking on like the rich white guy. They fucking cream them, because earlier on in the movie they go,
Brian, spoilers.
No, because earlier on in the movie they go, You Got Served. But at the end, when they win the dance off and they're in Lil' Kim's music video, they go, no, you got served. Nice. And that's the name of the film. But there's but like, there's so many actors in this movie where you're like, that's the mom from Sister. That's Lisa Landry.
I love it when she turns up and stuff. She's barely aged. I saw her in something recently, she looks amazing. And she looked so good.
She looks the exact same. Steve Harvey, the host of Family Feud, is kind of like the wise elder of the community that tells like, no, you can't fight with your fist. You gotta take this out in the street and dance.
Steve Harvey is super cool if you look up his Family Feud highlights and stop there and never look up a single other thing about him.
Yeah, I think the second image result is him standing next to Trump.
He's he's one of those fucking nightmare people.
Yeah. I guess when you get that rich, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But like, the plot is like, they have to raise money. There's a falling out with the friends. They are drug mules for a drug dealer, but this movie is really family friendly, so there's no swearing, and the drug trafficking is all implied. So all they'll do is they'll carry big heavy duffel bags, but it's unspecified what's in these duffel bags.
Full of Sunny D.
And there's another bit where there's a little kid character that's kind of like the mascot of the crew, and his name is Lil Saint. And he's played by Walt, who was in Lost. You know, the little kid in the first 2 seasons. Do you remember him?
I haven't watched Lost in so long.
You know how Harold Pin?
I'm picturing our friend Walt, and I think that's how it's going to stay. Okay,
well, yeah, this little like 12-year-old black kid, and he's a lovely little guy. You know him in Lost? Remember that little guy?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so he's in it, but he's like a year younger because this was shot the year before Lost, and he's in this film. And it's implied that like, he hangs out with a bad group of people, and they mention their names. These characters are never seen, but then there's a scene later on where a character gets a phone call, and then they're at the hospital, and they're like, can we see Little Saint? And the doctor's like, he got shot in the lung, he's dead. And like, none of this means anything except for at the very end of the movie, the dance crew calls himself the Little Saints, and they have like a really weird airbrushed picture of him on their t-shirt. And also the drug subplot, like the drug dealing subplot, all that beef gets squashed because Steve Harvey's character knows the drug dealer, and he gets a guy called like Ronnie to sort all that out, and the debt's been cleared. None of this matters. So there's like, it's the most contrived fucking plot. But the breakdancing, holy shit. There are some fucking breakdancers, and like as the credits roll, there's so many like extras as the breakdancers. One of them is Kevin Federline.
Oh, wow.
Before he married Britney Spears.
And got beat up by John Cena. He keeps coming back, sorry.
I highly recommend this movie. This movie exists. It happened. Cost $8 million to make, and it made some fucking money back, I tell you. I think this movie's great, and this movie's an hour and a half long, and it flies. It's about 30 minutes in your mind.
Wasn't there like an explosion of dance movies around that time? And
There
I think
was.
it was like Save the Last Dance was really popular. Was that the first one, or
I think,
what was
I think
it?
Save the Last Dance came out in either 2000 or 2001. But then you had stuff like Honey, the Jessica Alba dancing movie. But yeah, there's absolutely like a bunch of dance movies. Because like I know in the late 80s you had like Breakin' and Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo, starring Turbo and Ozone. And with that, it's always like Save the Youth Center. But then it kind of became, no, I'm like a scrappy independent dancer, but I get to have an opportunity to work with a musician. But there's always like a little kid to protect, because you gotta have a kid to protect.
Gotta have a little kid.
But this kid don't even fucking protect the fucking kid. He just dies off camera. This movie just, and also does a bit where they're like, a bunch of characters are holding up a prop, like they're holding up like a sign that they tore off, but they never do a cut in close up of the sign, but they read it out, and it's like, yo, they're having like a dance off this Saturday in the Staples Center, and the prize is $50,000. We should go. Yeah, man. And then they do their like handshake, and then they go back to basketball. It's just perfect.
Cool. It sounds like a perfect movie.
Yeah, it's just like, that's how movies used to be made, and people were fine with it.
Movies in the early 2000s were so fucking bad, you've no idea.
They were just
When was Cruel Intentions?
99.
Oh, that was like, 99 or 98
Does
maybe.
does that hold up?
Some parts are like, it's real campy.
I remember watching it back when I was a kid and thinking like, this is some real shit right here. Like, this.
Yeah, I feel like now it would read as campy and stuff, especially because like you're like, it's Sarah Michelle Gellar and she's kissing like, who was it that she's kissing in it? Oh my god, I'm blanking. And she was in.
She kisses a girl in that movie.
Every lesbian watched that movie because it was one of the first big on-screen lesbian.
Selma
kisses.
Blair.
Yes, Selma Blair.
Who now is like chronically ill, and she has a cane.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Selma Blair.
she's retired from acting. But last year, I highly recommend it. Last year they did a reenactment of their kiss, but because of lockdown, they made a gag out of it where they're like macking on like a glass plate. And it's real funny.
I gotta say, like as a gay in the 90s, looking for any bit of representation, when I saw that kiss, I was like, that looks like the most, like, it was such a gross kiss.
It's real sticky.
It's a real like horrible looking kiss.
there's like saliva streams, right?
It does have like it's real snotty at the end.
I was just like,
I think it won Best Kiss at the MTV Awards.
It did.
yeah, it was a different time.
It was a different time.
I do like the bit with Ryan Philippe's character, Felipe, and he's at his aunt's house out in the like Hamptons or whatever, and he's doing clay pigeon shooting, and I think her name's Aunt Helen, and she's just like, Sebastian, and he's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Oh, Aunt Helen, hi! And he just runs over to her, and it's just like, he plays the character. So like, I think him and Sarah do play their characters.
I think I'm gonna rewatch that movie and I'm gonna report back.
Yeah, I think I will too, because like I've actually wanted to. Me and Rebecca were talking about it for a while because we were talking about Selma Blair. I didn't know she was chronically ill. Poor Selma Blair.
Yeah, Selma Blair.
Sorry to bum you out.
Yeah,
Thanks,
way to go,
Brian.
Brian.
Sorry, I know trivia and keep up with the actors. Sorry.
Oh, you'll be sorry. In our strategy talk. Guys, I've been playing Death's Door.
And you love it. Oh, he really loves this. Oh, he's got some praises to sing.
Okay. This is a game where you play as a little crow, and that little crow fucking thumbs up across the board. Real cute little guy. The camera is zoomed out very far, so you can't see how he carries a sword, but let me tell you, he does. And you are tasked with basically getting 3 giant souls back to the Lord of Doors, and you're basically like a little Grim Reaper. And it is, you go to the different sections, you kill giant souls, you bring them back. Very kind of Dark Souls setup. And I think if I was to describe this game in a way, and I don't mean for this to sound reductive, it's kind of like Baby's first Dark Souls. It is that kind of setup. You die, all the enemies respawn, you kind of go through different areas, and it's like charming enough. Like there's some really interesting enemies. Like there's these creatures, and they're like these kind of like weird spindly stickmen, and they have these giant faces on their back, And if the face sees you, they attack. But if the normal things see you, they don't. And it's kind of stuff like that. This game is aggressively fine.
Okay.
I would say that there is really, from the music to the look to the gameplay, I would find it really hard to criticize anything about the game, like on a, in a way that I'm like, I think this part of the game lets it down. I think each part of the game is like reasonably strong. But on that same note, I would also say like there's nothing about the game that I think really stands out. And I feel like, when you have an opinion like this, I feel like people often want to interpret it as negative, and they often want to interpret it as like, I'm really like bashing the game. And I'm not, because I think this is a well-made game. I just think that it's hard for me to look at it and like the way the systems kind of knit together and stuff and see anything like really truly special or that I haven't seen before. I enjoy playing it, like I'll stick on a podcast and play through a little bit of it. It's like difficulty is, a boss will kill you once or twice and then you'll kill it, and it's not really difficult enough that I ever think you really have to dig into its mechanics, and that's kind of the, I always like with video games when the difficulty is scaled to the point that you have to really understand each mechanic and how to use it, and it's not there. It feels quite inspired by like Studio Ghibli in some ways, but in some ways it kind of crosses that barrier between like inspiration and, oh, this is a Ghibli character. Like one of the bosses is the pot witch, and it's really just the witch from Spirited Away with a different dress and a pot on her head. Like it's really, really that.
That's just not using it as a crutch anymore. That's just...
Yeah, and I don't know, like, the environments all have, like, kind of interesting ideas. Like, I like the pot witch's place because, like, you start off in her gardens and then you infiltrate her mansion and then you go to the lab below her mansion. And, like, they all kind of knit together in a way that's interesting, and she's this woman who, like, is trying to escape death and all this kind of stuff. But I feel like environments in indie games have really made a lot of headway in the like when you think of like Little Nightmares 2, the environments of Little Nightmares 2 are on such a different level than anything this game does, and this was a problem I kind of had while playing it. It's like every single part of this game, I can think of another like indie game of the same scope that does it better. Like the combat is nowhere near like Hyper Light Drifter, and it's difficult because I get that like you can't always be reductive with games and can't always be like, well, it doesn't do this as compared to this, you should focus on the strengths of the games. But if I was to focus on the strengths of this game, there's nothing I would say that this game does better than another game I can think of. And it is charming, and like I'm probably gonna beat it. I'm like 3 hours in, and it's like meant to be like 7-8 hours, and so it's like okay. But yeah, this game is fine. If you want like a pleasant time, I really can't imagine anyone coming away from this game and being like, I fucking hated it,
Yeah.
Because there's not the substance there to hate. And it doesn't try anything like it can't achieve.
Yeah.
Like everything it does at least well.
Does it have much of a story to it? Or is it pretty vague in that Dark Souls
It's all just
way?
environmental.
It's not really environmental. Like maybe there's like YouTube lore videos explaining what's going on, but everything so far to me has been pretty like
Is the story was once a prosperous kingdom?
No, it doesn't do that.
Okay.
It's although I have 2 more worlds to visit, so we'll see. But it's very much like you work for the Lord of Doors, and he's basically like the Grim Reaper, and you have to bring the souls back to him. And like, there was a bit about like the pot witch went insane because she wanted to avoid death, and it's like, you've kind of...
Do the characters communicate much with each other? Like,
there's like a little bit of banter, and there's
Okay.
some kind of quirky humor, but it's like... Some of it's not great, honestly.
Okay.
Like, they kind of do the whole mundanity of the afterworld thing as if the afterworld was like kind of, a boring office job. They kind of have a bit of that in there. When you meet the Lord of Doors, he has a mug that says World's Best Lord, and it's like... Yeah,
Okay.
How does it look compared to that game we all played last year, the roguelike, where
Hades.
Because that dude had a desk,
Um,
and that's isometric.
Hades,
Is it the same gag?
I feel like Hades dipped into that a little bit, and more so, but it was more so how Hades the character saw his job,
Yeah.
as
Okay.
opposed to this is the joke of the world. Hades is another game where I really don't think a lot about Death's Door compares very well with Hades. The combat, it's very simple. It's you're dodging, you're slicing, you do a lunging attack, and there's not really a whole lot more to it than that. You can reflect a lot of projectiles, and I'm engaged when I'm fighting, but I would say those combat synapses are ever really going off. Yeah, it's a good game. It's decent. If check out a video of it, and if you like the way it looks, it's not going to have any surprises. It's going to be that game. Other people are more positive on it than me. For me, it's this will kill 7 hours, and it will die in my top 20 list this year, and I'll never play it again.
Perfect.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Neve,
Yes.
why don't you tell us? Actually, you know what? Let's slam the brakes there. I want to rotate us properly so that we all stay fresh. Brian,
Yeah.
talk to me about Guilty Gear Strive.
I'm playing Strive again because the first DLC character is officially out. Guess he's been out for a while, has he?
No, it was last week, I think.
Last week, okay. Gold Lewis Dickinson, and he is a John Goodman-looking man who is the president's right-hand man, and he carries a coffin around with him that says Area 51, with the implication that there's an alien in there, but I don't think it's an alien. I think it's some sort of magical entity. Because this character travels across America and then some, searching for cryptids, proving that aliens do not exist. Would that be correct?
I think you know more about Gold Lewis than me.
It seems like his gag...
I haven't touched this guy yet.
Okay, he's great. I'm never a fan of heavy characters in fighting games. Potemkin is the heavy in Guilty Gear, and he's as slow as a fucking...
He is, but he will just take half your health.
Oh, he will.
Yeah.
And so Gold Lewis Dickinson is a step up where he's not as slow as Potemkin. He's still, on the heavier side. Obviously, he's a big guy. But the way his coffin works is it's like a ball and chain. Mm-hmm. It's on a fairly decently length chain, and he can fucking reach. And he's like Potemkin, he can just destroy half your health.
Yeah.
And he's real good. And so I found with Gold Lewis, he's all about quarter circle inputs. But I'm really, really enjoying the quarter circle inputs because it's about swinging the coffin, and they work in arcs.
So he has 8 different coffin swings, and they all correspond to the direction of the input. It's I've never seen a fighting game character like that.
Because the way usually your standard fighting game character is that you do a quarter circle input, and you get a horizontal beam. But in this case, you are getting arced attacks, and so in my mind, it's the connections with the inputs make sense with the flow of the animation.
Yeah, you can swing the coffin from the back of his head down past his butt to his front if you do that direction.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the kind of push and pull with the character is he's exposed when he's swinging because you've got to time these swings right, and his basic light attacks are just a very pathetic punch and kick. Because, he's not a particularly strong fighter. It's just what he's carrying, the weapon, that does the damage.
Yeah.
And so he's real fun to experiment with that way, where if you trash about and just play like a madman, you are going to do some damage, but you're also going to leave yourself exposed. And so that's been a fun trial and error. And it was just the kind of thing where I was playing with him and I was like, okay, I like how this guy feels. I gotta get used to his weight and timing.
Yeah, I think with a lot of his attack, his coffin swings, some of them leave you open after.
Yep.
And then some of them have a big wind up, so they leave you before. So I think it's about knowing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. And so for some of them, the creature inside the coffin, the arm will pop out and do a little like slash. So like he's got extra reach on some of them. His 2 specials are great. There's one where he summons what's that thing that's always in the Resident Evil games now? A satellite that does the laser beam.
Oh, I don't know the name of it, but I know what you're talking about. That really slow laser.
Hammer of Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And so he does a laser beam, but it tracks across the ground, and then there's that 1 second delay, and then there's the like scatter of explosions. And that's real fun as well, because when that happens, the character can get stunned, but you can stun them into you, then you can get some real damage. And his grab is pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the headbutt thing?
Yeah. But yeah, he's a lot of fun, and I was not expecting, because like I loved his design. I didn't think I'd love how to like playing as him, but he's a lot of fun.
You hadn't really like settled on a main, had you?
No.
Think this is your guy?
He's up there. He's like I'm rotating between him, Giovanna, and Chip.
Giovanna's so fun.
Yeah, she is. She's
Chip's
amazing.
insane.
Chip's fantastic.
He has so many tools, but like he has the lowest health in the game.
Oh, yeah,
like
he is.
If you see Gold Lewis versus Chip, it's ridiculous.
He's chipping.
Is Gold Lewis an American?
He's the
Very.
He's the president of America's.
Okay.
Like he looks like a rich oil Texan baron looking dude.
Yeah, I looked at the picture of him and I was just like, American.
He's the most like it is an American character designed by a Japanese person who's just gone, okay, I'm gonna just draw America. He looks like he's from a country jamboree. And when he wins his fight, he has a very good internal clock where he's able to calculate how long he's been fighting for and how much is remaining on the timer up above. So he's fun. I really like the way he interacts with the other characters as well. When he wins a battle, the opponent gets abducted, but he has his back turned, and then he turns around and he's like, oh, I guess they ran away. So like I don't know, I like him.
Yeah, he's cool. Guys, I bought a Xbox Series S.
Yeah.
It finally happened.
Yeah, it finally happened. I finally caved. About 5 months earlier than I thought I would. But it kind of just got to a point where like Game Pass became too tempting, and I was like, okay, I need to get this. I was shocked to go into town one day and look for Series S's and not find them that easily. And Xbox Series X's, I wasn't looking for them either, but the shop assistant told me, completely sold out.
It's for the PlayStation 5 and the Series X, they're still sold out like everywhere. I think the S is more in stock, but goes quickly as well.
Yeah.
Never experienced that, like this far out from a launch.
Yeah. And like I'm pretty sure eBay and a lot of places have stamped down on like scalpers. Like I'm pretty sure even like with the Steam Deck release and stuff, there was a huge stamp down on scalpers with that.
But anyway, ended up finding my console, ended up bringing it home and connecting it up. And wow, Game Pass is just as impressive as everyone says it is. There's so many good games on that service. And like, it's not like, you're not talking like a Netflix catalog of games. It's not that size. Like you're talking just about over 100, I think. But it's really the quality of that 100. Like I was going down through it and I was like, Subnautica's on here, 2 Point Hospital's on here, and like new stuff like, oh god, Brian, I think I'm gonna sneeze. Cover, do something.
Oh, I want to hear it.
It's gone. I think it went back into my body.
That's okay. It'll come back.
And like, you know, scrolling down to the bottom and seeing all the Yakuza games, that was fucking cool. And so like I downloaded a few little things. Kind of, I want to try the Ascent. You played a little bit of that, Neve?
Yeah, I'll talk about it in a bit.
Okay. And but that's where I've been playing Death's Door. But yeah, it seems cool. Don't know how I feel about that controller.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just a hand size thing, but I find the PlayStation 5 one, it's like quite large, so I find the like compactness of the Xbox one quite comfortable.
More your speed.
Yeah, definitely more my speed.
Cool. But yeah, I'm pretty impressed, pretty excited to have one. It was really weird seeing like my Xbox account again after like 8 years.
Yeah,
but isn't it
would
cool
have
that
been
you can go
2013.
into your library and like get all your old games?
I did not know that.
If you're digital, if you'd bought digital games, they're there for you to
even
re-download.
remember. Oh, I wonder is my Special Dead Rising theme still on there?
What's that twin stick shooter that came out at the very beginning?
Geometry Wars?
Yeah, I bet that's still there.
Probably, yeah.
That
I thought it
game
was really cool. I went into my library and I was like, hey, all my games are here.
Yeah. It was really something being able to plug in a new console and have a massive library of like games. And I was thinking about it, and like for me, Xbox is just kind of making more sense this generation because like, you know, Sony are going all in on their like big, you know, exclusive first party titles, and the direction they've gone with them, like I don't give a fuck. Like Days Gone, Ghost of Tsushima, all that stuff, it just doesn't matter to me. I liked The Last of Us 2, but I mean, I wouldn't care if I was never able to play Last of Us 3, you know? And I think with Microsoft, you see them really, like, you know, getting these really weird indie exclusives like The Ascent, like Death's Door and stuff like that. And that's just more where I'm at and the kind of stuff I like to play. So.
And now you can play Halo with me co-op.
I'll play Halo with you co-op.
Yeah, bro.
You're going to get really cross with me, Neve. And
No.
you're going to be like, John, would you just shoot the fucking aliens? And then you're going to be like, okay, look, I'm sorry. But then it's going to happen a couple of minutes later.
I'm very excited. I've never got any of my IRL friends to play Halo with me.
I'll play Halo with you. Which one?
The new one, but we can go back and play Reach together. Reach is great.
Okay,
I'll play Reach.
3 is
Let's
really
play
good
Reach.
as well. I really like Halo 3.
3 is great.
3. But I've always wanted to play, and I always wanted to give ODST a shot as well.
That's a fan favorite, and if you really like Nathan Fillion, then yeah, for sure. But I was like, you're not a Spartan, so.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we can play Reach. Neve,
Yes.
why don't you tell us about that game you've been playing?
I've been playing the Forgotten City. Actually, I finished it and I tried to platinum it, and I'm one really annoying trophy away from platinuming
I take it you enjoyed it?
Yeah.
What is this game, Neve?
So the Forgotten City is a mystery detective game set in ancient Rome. It started off life as a Skyrim mod that was extremely popular and won loads of awards for writing, and the developers, and it's a small 3-team developer, it's called Modern Storyteller, they're from Australia. They made a full release of it, but it's very much, you know, a Skyrim mod. The way the characters stop and turn and speak to you is very Skyrim-y. So the basic idea of this game is you're a person from the modern day. You get to name your character and pick your gender, and you get transported from your modern day world into ancient Rome. And when you're in ancient Rome, you are met by a character who tells you, "Welcome, friend. We are all trapped in this forgotten city. There is only one rule to live by here." And you're brought to the magistrate of the city, and you're told the one rule is the golden rule. And the golden rule is, if anyone sins in this city, everyone will die.
Boo, I'm out.
That's so hard. Everyone's a sinner.
And it's just like, whose perception of sin? What does that mean? And the magistrate tells you, I expect a person is going to sin and kill us all. And I need you to investigate and tell me who you think that person will be. And you were in basically a Groundhog Day looping cycle of that making. And
This is such a specific idea.
yeah, it's really cool. So the idea is you talk to people and you solve problems for them, and you get to know them to get an idea of who will break this rule. And I don't want to go into too many details because kind of the fun of it is finding it out for yourself, and it's a short game. It's around, I'd say your first playthrough could maybe take you 3 hours. There's 4 endings, and I got all 4 endings like in a morning kind of thing, and I decided to platinum it as well. So just to give you an example of kind of what it is, you meet a woman who is dying because she was poisoned, but you need to talk to her because she has some information about another person who's gone missing, and you need to help make her better. The person who has the antidote is selling it at an extortionate price, and you're kind of like, how is that not breaking the golden rule kind of thing to price gouge? But that's kind of fine here because there's like different rules for different places, and there's a whole pile of like, there's a lot of debate about what is like moral and what is good and what is right kind of thing. But
Does the writing pull it off?
it does. It definitely does. Like, it doesn't land on anything. It's kind of more like, and who's to say?
Pick your own wheel of
Yeah.
empathy.
You decide.
And pretty much kind of, but like you can like try buy the antidote. You can steal the antidote, but if
Hell
you
yeah.
steal it, everyone will die, but you'll loop back. And I stole it, and everyone started like turning to gold and dying because it's the golden rule. And I was like, oh shit. And I went to like reload the game, and the game was like, no, it's meant to do this. You're meant to Groundhog Day it and kind of find things. But the stuff that you take will keep in your inventory. So I had stolen the
So that's now a
antidote.
permanent item.
Yes. So now I can go back to the woman and heal her, and she can be like grateful to me and give me information. And there's different characters you meet, different situations that you have to solve, and there's different endings you can get. The fourth ending is called a canon ending, and I kind of didn't like that about it. I don't like a game that gives you multiple endings and then tell you that one is the right one. I kind of think that's kind of bleh. I preferred ending 3, and I wish I could have like expanded on that. But I had a lot of fun with it because it was just so interesting. Like, it was a really different experience. So if you like kind of puzzle solving, and especially through dialogue choices, like one of the trophies is like Silver Tongue, where you can talk your way out of every situation kind of thing. It's like it's an interesting game from that standpoint. Like, because the golden rule exists, no one's allowed weapons in the city, for example. But what happens if an assassin enters the city with a weapon? How do you deal with that situation? How do you disarm a person? Like, that kind of thing. So it kind of gives you these problems to solve using the Groundhog Day mechanic and using your kind of your ability to talk to people. And it was a fun time. There was a bit in it. You don't have to do it if you don't want it, and then the game tells you, like, if you don't like action, you don't have to go down this route. But there was a bit that I liked the most, which was going through, you know, a palace and having to fight off these golden monsters who were being stripped of their gold and were in pain. And I thought that was really interesting.
Has it got the Skyrim combat?
You have a bow, so
Okay.
it isn't you're not doing first person like sword combat, you're doing first person like shooting combat. So it
that's
isn't as
fine.
janky.
Yeah.
It does still have its kind of Skyrim mod jank in it. Like, every time someone goes up a stairs, they're kind of like, you know, kind of thing.
That.
Does it do the Skyrim zoom?
A little bit, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Especially when a character talks to you. But like,
I really
the
like
models are nice. They're nice. They put a lot of work into them, you know. So it's never like that hilarious when it zooms in on a weird person's face.
I really like when the NPCs talking and then they're like, now follow me, and they're just like yakking away, and you're like, I'm just gonna kick back, buddy, and they're just set to hit play as they go up the stairs, jank it up to the max. Amazing.
There's a bit of that in it as well. You can press X to follow people as they run through to a next area kind of thing. But just like in terms of this year, there hasn't been a lot of big releases, and I'm like playing more indie games, and it was just like a game where you don't have to engage in combat at all if you don't want to, and it's all done through kind of storytelling, and the voice acting is great. They did a great job for a game that dispenses a lot of dialogue at you. It was all very engaging and well acted and easy to listen to. So I had a fun time with it. It's a really interesting experience if you like puzzle games.
How much is it?
It was €30, which I think is €10 too expensive.
For, you said 3 or 4 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, like for me, for €30, that's a really tough sell. But if it's a good 3 or 4 hours,
It is a good 3 or 4 hours, and
it'll be on sale.
It's a small team, and also I spent a whole day playing it because I was just like, well, I got ending 2, time to get 1, 3, and 4, and you know.
I have done that before, like when you're playing a small game like that, and you're just like, fuck it, I got 6 hours. Let's 100% this game.
And the more you know the area, and the more you know what's like expected of you, the more you're kind of like into doing it.
Yeah.
There's one trophy that was like, get the final canon ending with the least amount of loops, and I was like, oh, I really want to figure out how to do this, and like. That was actually a really fun trophy to try and do. I was just like, oh, can I do it in 2 loops kind of thing? And like, you know, I could. But like, yeah, if you like, and if you really like Rome and Greek and even Egyptian like myth and lore kind of stuff, like all of that is in it, and it's really cool. So it was an interesting game, but it does have, you can see where that it was birthed from a Skyrim mod, I guess.
Sometimes that can be endearing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Brian,
Yes.
you played Ganbare Goemon 3, the mecha leg hold of Jurokube Shishi.
That is correct. This is the third in the Super Nintendo series of Ganbare Goemon, aka Go For It Goemon. aka
You can do
Legend
it,
of you can do it, aka Legend of the Mystical Ninja Tree. Starring not Kid Yang, starring Goemon and his buddy Ebi Samaru. This is the third one of these. I'm gonna play through all of the 4 core games. I'm probably not gonna play any of the other spin-offs. I know there's an Ebi Samaru puzzle game. I'm gonna skip that. Then I'm gonna get into the N64 game properly.
Hell yeah. I have a feeling those N64 ones are actually going to hold up pretty good. God, I hope they do.
From what I played so far, it was very good. I don't know if I'm going to end up playing it by the end of this year. Definitely next year, because I want to play it on original hardware. I'm working on a very... Look, I'm just going to plug in my own N64 and have a good time, okay?
That's okay.
Anyway, I'm just playing these via ROM because there's very good fan translations of these games, and they've done a fantastic job localizing them. And I'm taking my time with them because I played the first 2 back to back, waited a couple months, now I'm playing the third one. So this involves the old man, the crazy old man, builds a time machine and gets trapped in the future, but they have a television so they can see him in the future, and there is a nun that looks like Ebi Samaru, and she's holding him hostage, and so now Goemon and Ebi Samaru have to travel across Japan to collect items to travel into the future. So I'm only in the first 2 or 3 levels, but so far they've recruited Sasuke, who's the robot ninja.
Brian, I think we all know who Sasuke is from Goemon. I mean,
Okay.
Who's Who's Super Mario, Brian? I mean,
They've also recruited Yae, who's the other ninja. She's the girl with the green hair.
Brian, I think we all know who.
I think this is the first time Yae has been playable. And Sasuke and Yae are way more fun to play than Goemon and Ebi Samaru, because they can move faster. And this is the same kind of setup where half of the game is a top-down Zelda / Final Fantasy, RPG light, and then a tough as nails side-scrolling platformer. But I'm playing it online, so I'm using save states because Jesus fucking Christ, is this game cruel and unforgiving.
It was 2 better for that.
2 was definitely, certain sections of 2, especially when, they've also introduced these other sections where you have these set pieces where you're in Impact, which is the big giant mech that is just a giant Goemon that I think the old man built. And those are mini games, and they are very badly explained, and you have to just sort of jank your way through them. And the only way to do it is to make several mistakes and then reset to your save state and do it the way the game expects you to do it. But I think this game came out around the same time, as Final Fantasy VI, because there's a couple of moments where they parody Final Fantasy VI. So
that is so weird.
So weird, yeah.
So the way in 6, there's that opening shot where it's got the mode 7, where they're walking along the horizon in the mechs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's several moments in this game where they're in similar mechs, and these mechs are kind of like the mechs that are in Final Fantasy VI, but they're also the mechs that are in the Mega Man games, the later Mega Man X games. You know, the ones that are like the walking mechs with the 2 handles, and you kind of clank your way forward. But they're in them, but it's like a wooden version of them because it takes place in feudal Japan. But this game has a laugh track.
Really?
Yeah.
One of my favorite things
It's fucking nuts.
about Goemon is it feels like it was made by absolute dickheads.
Oh yeah, for sure. With Konami.
Did you know it had a laugh track?
No, and
So when you were playing it, it just happened. Were you like, what the fuck?
and this is absolutely that kind of Japanese comedy trope where you have your comedy duo and but they're both slapstick, but just one is always out slapsticking the other.
Did they redraw the sprites again?
Yeah, they did. And so the game is really, because these games were annualized, right? I think they came out 93 to 96, or maybe 92 to 95, some time frame like that. But Konami released one of these every year, and they definitely use the same engine, but they will reuse certain things, but so many of the assets are just redrawn from scratch, especially the overworld stuff, because you know how in the original Mystical Ninja SNES game, it's kind of 2.5D where you can move on the Z depth plane, but that's kind of like the overworld light RPG. But then by the second and third game, it's more top down. But they had to redo all of that from scratch. But then you can see where they've used previous games as the foundation and just sort of scrapped 90% of the drawing, the sprite art, and then just redid it again
They're
with
weird
like
games.
with a fresh coat of paint. But I'm having a lot of fun with this, but I'm very early on in the game. But so far, it's doing a great job of like separating each section of the game and making its own thing. And like, this is more closer narratively to the first game because there's more callbacks and the map layout is sort of similar to the first game because the second game used a Super Mario World overworld hub in which you could revisit stages.
Yeah.
Whereas this is more sequential and you can revisit certain levels, but other levels, there's like a castle you blow up early on in the game which you cannot revisit. So you have to make sure you collect all the fortune cats to up your life maximum because you only get one opportunity. Because this game has rules and then it does not have... It's got other rules for other rules. Like it's a Konami game. But I'm incredibly charmed by this game, and I'm so happy these games exist.
Out of 1, 2, and 3, which would you say is your favorite?
Working with my experience so far, probably the second one is my favorite, but 2 is really winning me over.
I remember like when I was little.
Sorry, 3 is really winning me. Yeah, cool. It's winning me over.
When I was little, like I was obsessed with Legend of Mystical Ninja. Like it was my favorite game. Like I would sit down for 4 hours and beat it, and then I would do it again the next day and did that over and over and over.
It's fucking brilliant.
And then I remember being in my cousin's house, and he had, for some reason, he had a Japanese Super Nintendo magazine, and like I was just going through it and then seeing Goemon, but in a game I didn't recognize. Just being like, what was this? And then like I brought it to him, and like I couldn't even read at this point, I don't think. And I was like, what's this? Could you read this for me? And he looked at it and he goes, I can't. It's in Japanese. And then I was like, I think they made another Mystical Ninja. And he looks at it and he's like, the English title here says Mystical Ninja 4. I was like, what? And then for like literally like 10 years I could never learn anything else about it because, you know, there was no internet, there was no one I could ask. It was just, I just had to live with that knowledge.
And like this is like, these games are over 25 years old, right, John?
Yep.
And like this game is still incredibly confusing, so I'm using Game Facts and I'm on a walkthrough. The walkthrough was written in 1999.
Oh my god.
Wow.
And like And like it's still written in that like old
Game Facts text way.
Did they make a picture?
Yeah, I love
Unicode.
that.
Oh yeah, I love the Unicode stuff.
Yeah.
It's got a bit of that, but like the guy's kind of going, okay, because this is reversed because it's originally Japanese. The yes is on the right and the no is on the left, but no, it's not. And the guy keeps like the guy who's doing the guide does not know left and right, so I keep going the wrong way, and I'm like, dude, you just didn't proofread this. But it's because it's so old. There's no comments on this going, dude, you fucked up. Because that's such a like a common thing now on the internet that people like. Well, like they're not saying you're fucked up, but people are kind of going, there's a correction here, and here.
I feel like guide writing is this thing that has just really fallen off in general.
It is.
I've always been kind of fascinated as to why someone would write a guide, because it seems like such an incredible amount of work.
I think it's just it was always a labor of love from fans, and then it became a paid job, and then it's become like just like a thankless paid job, so no one kind of really does it, kind of thing. I have 2 Goemon questions.
Hit me.
Okay.
Or us.
Okay,
well,
John.
my first
Brian,
Goemon
you
question
know more
is
about Goemon than me at this point.
Is I have never heard of Goemon until you guys mentioned it. How many games got European releases?
One,
Just
and
one.
then the
Then
N64.
the N64, and then the sequel on the N64 did as well. And I think that was it.
Were they popular here?
I think on PlayStation there was 1 or 2 as well, and then there was Konami Crazy Racers on the GBA.
Did the GBA Goemon ever get a release here, or did that even come out? I was following the development of that for ages.
They did a remake of the first 2 games for GBA, but only in Japan.
Were they very popular here, or were they kind of more of a niche thing? Because again, I never heard of them, but I wasn't in that. I'm guessing
there were so many platformers on the SNES, and there were so many mascot platformers, but like this was Konami's flagship platformer icon.
Yeah.
And
I think they were maybe a bit too Japanese for here.
They're very hard to localize.
Yeah.
And when they do localize, it's that thing where the onigiri is now jelly donuts.
Yeah.
Well, just like in general, like buying games in Ireland was difficult. Like I travelled up from Offaly and searched every shop in like Dublin for a copy of Final Fantasy 9 on PlayStation 1. Like it was hard to get games.
Yeah, it was.
You know?
The first time I played Goemon, I went to a video game rental shop and they had to rent me an adapter for my Super Nintendo for it to play American games.
Okay.
And that was my first experience of it.
I'm pretty sure maybe 10 copies of this game came out in Ireland.
Okay.
I'll tell you who's got one, baby.
And my second question is, what happened to Goemon? Like, why didn't he stay a staple? Like, why is there no more Goemon games? Or is there more Goemon games that just never got localized?
Konami were so bad that he didn't even get to the pachinko machine phase.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, it's weird because, like, there's like a ton of Goemon games.
Yeah, there are.
They just kind of stop as Konami become terrible.
Okay.
Like, put it this way. If Silent Hill didn't survive, like...
Goemon wasn't going to survive.
Yeah.
That's super sad.
And, like, the games...
I love 90s Konami as well. Like, I love Parodius. I love the cute-em-ups.
Whenever I'd rent a game and, like, Konami would come up at the start, I'd be
Skibbity
like,
flaggity
this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, Konami or Capcom, I was like, hell yeah. You know?
This is...
And then sometimes it would be...
a badge of honor.
Iguana, and you'd be like, oh, no.
I really liked when...
Acclaim, not Iguana.
Yeah, Acclaim would show up and you'd be like...
Oh no, I fucked up.
Here we go, we got a Bart game. Bart's Virtual Nightmare.
But then, like, you don't even... It is sad because, like, there is so much genuine, like, creativity and craft in these games. Like, they're fucking bonkers. Like, they're completely off the wall, but they're really beautiful as well. Like, they're really, really good pixel art, amazing music.
Oh, the music's amazing. And, like, I do think the two 3D games, especially the first one, because it's a mishmash of Mario 64 meets Ocarina of Time, but, like, they studied the hardware and the early games and used that to their advantage to make their own game.
Yeah.
Like, they know their source material and they are making their own IP based on that. And, like, it's not like a cash in. It feels like it is a labor of love.
Yeah, that's that game that I had. I didn't have a memory card, and so I just play like 6 hours, and then the next day I just play 6 hours, the same 6 hours, and I loved it.
Yeah. I've got the first Goemon 64 game, and then the second one is a 2D platformer, but kind of like Kirby 64.
You know, Brian, if there is good emulation, I might actually play that one emulated, because from what I remember about that one, it was fucking hard.
You're going to need those save states again.
Really hard.
Also, that game costs over €100.
Oh, I have that game. I own it.
The second one?
Yep, the second one.
Okay, well, there you go. You got your little nest egg.
I got my little nest egg. My
games
little
have exploded.
Yeah, especially N64 games, because they're really hard to emulate and pirate.
SP games. They've just exploded in price.
Really?
Like, yeah, it's something fierce.
Fucking Jake Paul. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you're having a good time with them, Brian.
I just have to pace them out, because these games are like 4 or 5 hours long, and they're very quick to beat on a save state. So sometimes I have to be like, okay, I might try this level manually. I last about a minute.
Neve, did you want to talk about the Ascent?
Yeah, I'm just going to talk about it really quickly because I haven't played it too much, but I started the Ascent. It's on like Xbox Game Pass, and it's like a cyberpunk sci-fi world where you have a character creator, you make a character, and it's like a top-down isometric view shooter. And my first playthrough of it, I had the most crazy bug where no enemies spawned. So I kept walking into the map, and I was like picking up items, and then the items started glowing purple, and I was like, I don't think I should be picking this up without knowing what this is. And I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept picking more items up, and no enemies were spawning. And I was like, I guess I just have to walk a really long time until I find something. And then like I got to an elevator, and the elevator wasn't spawning, and I was like, okay, something's broken. Something's super broken in this game. So I restarted it and reloaded my save. And then as I reloaded my save, I was a level 3 character at this point, because at the start there was some enemies because it's scripted. And I was surrounded by level 20 characters as my level 3 character. So I could not get out of the area because I kept getting murdered every time I moved. and I had to restart the entire game again.
Oh dear.
I'm having fun with it, but it is extremely buggy, like super buggy.
I actually I popped it on for like a second because it was on Game Pass, and my first thing was like, oh, they did not scale this text for consoles.
Yeah, tiny.
Yeah.
I'm just having a very buggy time with it, and a lot of I'm trying to do side missions, and it gives you kind of like a marker, like a kind of glowing thing that you can follow to the area of the side mission. Every time I get there, there's like an elevator, and the elevator doesn't spawn, and I'm like, is this a bug, or am I not high level enough to be here, or can I not do this mission yet, and should I be on the main quest line? And it takes so long to get to these points, and then I have to walk all the way back to the city and reload another thing. And I felt like a lot of the time I was just wasting time with it.
This sounds so tedious.
It was extremely tedious, so I was just like, I'm going to wait until they iron out these things.
Yeah, that seems like the way to go.
It was like, it's very beautiful looking. Like, it's this, like, again, isometric top-down thing, but it's like the amount, like, as someone who loves in creating textures, and that's like sometimes part of my job, they create really beautiful textures to create this environment. I'm like, wow, that box looks good, or that floor texture looks great. Like, it's a very, very pretty indie game, but I'm just like, I felt like I was wasting a lot of my time, so I was gonna I'm gonna give this a bit longer to cook. And I know a lot of people are having a lot of fun with it, but like the amount of time I've spent with it has been just so buggy and just demoralizing, and felt like I was just wasting time a lot of the time.
Do you feel like the game underneath is going to be worthwhile?
Yeah, like the combat I did get to play and stuff, like I was just like, sorry to like equate everything to Destiny, but I'm like a first person shooter like loser. So I was just like, it's like Destiny, but from a different perspective. Like, it was just a lot of like aliens running at you and you shooting them, and switching to shotgun, and switching to your like
rifle,
just different guns, and like just
pistol.
having fun. It was machine gun, there we go. So I was like into the combat side of it, but it was just so fucking buggy that I was like,
okay, yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna take a look at it by the end of the year. Like, it seems cool. I'm like, I was looking at some screenshots of it, and it's like, you know,
the lighting looks amazing.
Cyberpunk
it's gorgeous
dystopia
looking.
with a giant golden Buddha smashed in the middle, and it's like, hell yeah.
It looks super cool, and like I like my character who I made. The character creator is kind of limited, but I like her kind of stuff, and like I like that you
pick
armor.
A girl, and by default they give you a buff fucking girl.
Yeah, it's cool, and I want to like it, and I know a lot of people do, so I'm going to kind of give it a while for console to kind of just get patched and go in and enjoy it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm going to check that out too. Guys, last week I said that I'd played like a little bit of The Great Ace Attorney. This is the Sherlock Holmes-esque Phoenix Wright game that came out on Switch recently.
Takes place in the late 19th century.
The late 19th century. It takes place actually just as Japan had opened its borders and ended isolation. And I've played a lot more of this game. I think I played about 15 hours.
That's a good chunk of time.
That's a good chunk of time. And I feel like this game gave me a very good like starting impression. I was like, this seems really cool. And like, I kind of had a lot of questions going into it, because like, for me, by the time I hit Phoenix Wright, I can't remember if it's Justice for All or Trials and Tribulations, the third one, but I was kind of done with Phoenix Wright. I was kind of like, okay, that is enough Phoenix Wright for me, because those three games they're great. They're very similar. Very, very similar. And, you know, they follow a very particular pattern. And there's stuff I love about Phoenix Wright. There's stuff I didn't love about it as well. In, like, I love the court cases. I hated the exploration sections. They were such a fucking pain to navigate your way around.
And it's just pixel hunting.
It's just pixel hunting. And I kind of felt ready for another Phoenix Wright game with this one. And I think I was just expecting more Phoenix Wright. You know, I was expecting more Ace Attorney. Like, Phoenix Wright isn't in this. It's new guy. And I think what I maybe was not expecting was the old Ace Attorney games sort of just like polished to a mirror sheen with so much more flourish and so much more production value, and a lot of the kind of stuff I didn't like about them just gone. Immediately I started to get real like old school Phoenix Wright vibes from it, And I looked it up, and like, surely enough, it's directed by Shu Takumi, who did Ghost Trick, and who was the original like creative force behind the Phoenix Wright games.
Ghost Trick is so good. That game's out 10 years now.
I've still never played it properly.
I can lend you, it's one of the greatest video games ever made.
I keep waiting for it to come out on, something reasonable, and it keeps not doing that.
Nah, it's not.
What is it out on? Sorry, I don't know it.
The Nintendo DS.
Okay.
But it came out.
There's a little dog. What's he called? Bullet?
Missile.
Just look him up. That'll be it.
He's the. I'll show you a picture. Missile. No, he's not going in the art. He's not going in the art. No.
When one of us plays,
no, because none of us have played this game in 10 years.
When one of us plays Ghost Trick, when one of us plays Ghost Trick, the whole thumbnail just
will be
Missile.
like Missile. Okay, that's fair. But you've like asked me to put like the poster of Big in the art before, so this is just a weird.
Look. This is just a side note. I'm not looking for a missile. I'm looking for Missile the dog.
Did you just type in Missile and Google it?
Why isn't the Ghost Trick character coming up?
He's cute. He's a little palm, is he?
Yeah, he's a little palm. Oh, he's a lovely little fella.
Yeah. But Shu Takumi also directed Dino Crisis 2, which I was not aware of, and I don't think people like that game. Don't make Shu Takumi make a shooter.
Yeah.
Because
make him a game where you got lots of text.
Yeah. So this game has surprised me in a lot of different ways, and one of the things I really love about it is actually the period it's set. And this kind of put me off when I heard of this game initially, because I don't fucking care about the late 19th century. Was karate even real then? There's no way to tell. But like, it's not like an era I had really any reverence for or any interest in spending time with. It is really interesting, the stuff they do with it, because the whole kind of conceit of this game is that the Japan's just opened its borders, and it wants to learn its justice system from the UK. So the first trial you do takes place in Japan, and there's all this stuff like the idea of preserving a crime scene wasn't a thing. So it's really chaotic as to how they actually prove what happened, and like the trial kind of goes like wrong in that way, and you have to kind of pull it back, and it's really, really well done like that. But also there's more like racism in this game than I thought there would be.
Japan's very xenophobic, and I'd say
not that kind of racism.
Oh dear.
Please tell me it's anti-Brit sentiment.
It's anti-Japanese sentiment from British people.
Wow.
Oh.
And I was not expecting that.
Well,
and like,
I guess they wouldn't. They would think less of the protagonist,
and they do, and it's like it's a constant thing. And like, I'm not gonna say
fucking
that
Brits.
this game is like fucking woke ass Ace Attorney. Like it's part of the world. I don't think they're gonna like make a big statement or anything, but it's cool to see.
It's acknowledged.
Yeah, it is acknowledged, and like you feel it, because like you kind of various things happen, and you end up in Victorian London, and it's like you're the dude whose name completely escapes me, and you're with his legal assistant who's also Japanese, and she's great as well. She's just very nice and very diligent, and she's like the Maya Fey of the game. She is, but like she's really smart, and she helps you, and she's really strong, and I like her.
Okay.
But it's really interesting seeing this post-isolation Japan meeting this complete other culture, and they really play into the cultural differences in some ways. And also like they've done their research on like Victorian London, because I keep running into stuff in the game and I'm like, was that real? And then I look it up and like, yeah, it was real. I learned that that I don't know if it's Victorian, but early 19th or late 19th century England used to have a window tax. So basically the way they would decide if you were rich was how many windows you had on your house. And the crushing part is that what poor people ended up doing was bricking up the windows of their house so they could pay less tax. So like poor people were not even allowed sunlight in this fucking nightmare land.
Yeah, in this smog of a grim empire.
Yeah.